So it's the time of year where everyone is out and about in their vans. It's summertime and we felt this video was very important. So have a look at this.
Well, my background has been the fire service. I served for 30 years and I was in training, fire safety and frontline operations. Now, over the years I've seen some very bad fires. I've been to carbon monoxide incidents. You can't see it. It's poisonous and it is also flammable. It is the byproduct of incomplete combustion and it will kill you. Now, a lot of people think that carbon monoxide is heavier than air, and there is some beliefs that you should put these down at low level. It's not heavier than air, it is actually lighter than air. It will float up to the ceiling and just gently disperse throughout the van. Now, you won't know it's there, and it's the cold light of day fact is it will kill you. You will not wake up. One of these is essential. It's a combined smoke and carbon monoxide detector. The other thing as well is that it detects fire, so it'll pick up the burnt toast, it'll pick up fire. Granted, if you're in a van, normally if you're awake you're gonna probably smell a fire, see a fire, you'll get up and either put it out or get out the vehicle. With carbon monoxide you're not even going to know it's there. So I think a smoke detector in a van is a great idea, but a joint smoke carbon monoxide detector is even better. You've got one unit, not two. This particular unit will last 10 years. This is a 10-year combined smoke and carbon monoxide detector, and it will last 10 years from the date of installation. And the date of installation is, you jot it on the side. This one tells me it was built on the 26th of December 2023. When it's installed, what you need to do is just pull the tab on the back. So to install it, all you do is just unscrew the tab. This pops off and you've got options. You can either screw that to the ceiling or you can use strong 3M adhesive. Okay, so it's flashing on the front and it's doing a couple of various things. So whilst it sets itself up, what it's doing, it's sampling the air around us. There we go.
Press the test silence button to test.
So we're going to test it now. So all you do is just press that.
This is only a test. The alarm will sound loudly. You can press the test silence button to cancel the test. Testing the smoke sensor. Testing the carbon monoxide sensor. The test is finished. Normal working status.
So there you can see the smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector have two different alarms, but either way, if you hear it, you're going to get up and react accordingly. And like I said, with this one, the battery comes with it. So in there you've got a lithium battery, and that will last for 5 years. Now that's normally 5 years if it's on standby mode and your weekly test. Of course, if you burn the toast and it keeps on going off, yes, you are then going to need to replace the battery a little bit quicker. But the good thing is, if you do set this off, you just press the silence button and it will silence this particular detector for 9 minutes. So when it then reactivates itself after 9 minutes, if the levels are still high, it will activate again. So it's constantly sampling for either smoke or carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide in my mind is the important one. It's because you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you don't know it's there. They call it the silent invisible killer. So the question is, where is carbon monoxide going to come from? As I mentioned before, carbon monoxide is a byproduct of incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion is it hasn't fully burnt. So if your boiler is clogged up or messy, your fridge, anything that is going to work on gas will give off carbon monoxide. So even whilst you're burning the gas on the hob in the van, anything that burns is going to give you a byproduct of carbon monoxide. Even the burners on your hob are going to give you carbon monoxide. They're normally a clean burn, but you've got your ventilation overhead, or you can open a window. You know, there's no doubt about it, you do get carbon monoxide from the 3 burners. But if you've got a boiler, you know, we get the boiler serviced in the house, usually on an annual basis. How often do we get the boiler serviced in the van? So that's a question we need to check and ask with ourselves. You can get it done when you choose to. How often do we get the boiler serviced? Probably not as often as the one in the home. So it's the boiler with the flames inside. If it's got a leaking case or a faulty flue, it will emit carbon monoxide. Think about the fridge. The fridge uses gas to also burn in chill. So that will, again, even though that's vented to outside, if it's blocked up, you will get particles of carbon monoxide in the van. So this is exceptionally sensitive. So this will pick up the smallest amount of carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. Whilst I was in the job, over the years I'd been to a number of carbon monoxide incidents or detectors that had actuated, and the first thing we do is evacuate the property. We send in a crew with breathing apparatus and check out accordingly. We always had our own handheld carbon monoxide detectors. They were calibrated and checked, and I'll be honest, most of the jobs we went to were a faulty detector. But saying that, things have evolved. These things now have got really, really sensitive, really work well, and this is why we check them once a week. A lot of the detectors we went to were the battery was low, they were faulty, the wiring was defective. This is a standalone unit. You don't need any wires, there's no backup to it. So the carbon monoxide detectors I went to, it had actuated and done what it needed to do. Now, in 30 years, I was luckily never come across where it had actuated and the occupants hadn't got out. These things do save lives. It will sound, you will evacuate. With carbon monoxide, you might start feeling nauseous, sleepy, slight sickness, flu-like symptoms. You're not going to know it's coming. You're just going to feel a little bit tired. So if you can imagine you're asleep in your bed and you're feeling tired and sleepy, you're going to go to sleep, and this thing, when you've got one of these, it will wake you up, it will get you out. If you haven't got one, I don't need to say any more than that. It won't wake you up, you won't get out. These are really a great bit of kit. In terms of smoke detection, this again is very sensitive. It will pick up burnt toast. So what you got to think about is, where are you going to position it in the van? So you don't need to put it anywhere near your cooker, because a heat source will dissipate any fumes. It'll just push it away. So you need to put it away from a heat source. The lights that we've got in the vans these days, they're cool, so that doesn't really matter. It's not like the old gas burning lights we had years ago. Can you imagine, we're still in a van years back, we had the lights that were powered by gas, the oven that was powered by gas, the heaters that were powered by gas. We didn't really think about it much back in those days, did we, carbon monoxide? Vans and caravans out there with gas fires, so you're going to get carbon monoxide from that as well. So again, that's another item that you're going to need to have serviced, and this will pick it up. And on top of that, I've seen a few vans with log burners. Now, if you've got a log burner in the house, if it's installed from a reputable company, they'll give you a carbon monoxide detector and they stick it on the wall for you. How many vans have got log burners but don't have one of these? This really is a life-saving piece of kit. It's got a 360-degree area where it's sampling the air. It doesn't take much carbon monoxide to set it off, but it also doesn't take much carbon monoxide to finish us off. So over the years, I've been to a couple of fires involving motorhomes and caravans, and our response time was 5 to 8 minutes. You know, we were in a sort of built-up area. There were caravan parks, motorhome park-ups, and once a fire's got hold, there wasn't an awful lot left. We would turn up and there's plastic, wood, foam, all sorts of things in a motorhome or a caravan, and yeah, they go like the clappers. Now in the UK, we like to have 6 meters between our motorhomes or caravans. You go into Europe, we've all seen the stories where people pull up next to you, you can open your window and shake hands. Now, if a vehicle then catches on fire, it is going to leapfrog from van to van to van. Now, yeah, they're small units, but guess what's in a van? If it's petrol, you got a huge tank. If it's diesel, it takes a lot of temperature and pressure to burn. So you got to think about the contents. You've got LPG, You've got flammable combustibles, we've all got the portable barbecue packs. Really doesn't take much for one of these. Once it's alight, it's not going to go out again very quickly. Caravans, I've been to a couple of calls where caravans have been on fire. I used to work in Bridgend and we had the local caravan park in Porthcawl. I've gone there and I've seen a van with LPG cylinders on fire, and I've seen the cylinders shoot skywards, and God knows to this day where they landed. So they really do burn exceptionally quick. So if you hear one of these going off, I suggest, if you're capable to tackle a small fire, you can do so. If you're not comfortable, you just get out, stay out, and get the fire brigade out. In a van, it's recommended that you carry a extinguisher. Now, there's a lot of conversation between the type of extinguisher, and that is personal preference, and each manufacturer or different companies will recommend different. So I'm not going to recommend what you should carry. You need to do research on the extinguishers and take the choice that suits you best. In addition to that, I would recommend carrying a fire blanket. So if you have a small fire on the stovetop, you can put it out. If you're not comfortable, you can obviously just get out and stay out. But a small fire on the stovetop won't take long to get hold, and you'll lose the entire van and the contents. Now, some people are full-timers. Imagine losing your complete van and contents to a small fire. So maybe it's worth considering, and I used to be in training, you can actually go on firefighting courses. I say firefighting, it's just basic firefighting. If there's a small bin fire, how do you put it out? If there's a fire on the stovetop, how do you deal with that? What's the action in the event of a fire alarm sounding? There's all sorts of training courses available, and it can save your life, it can save your home, because for a lot of people the van is their home. So I think in summary, this is a great price for a life, because it'll last 10 years, that'll last 5 years. So if you want to outlast the life of this detector, I recommend you get one. And I'm off now to install this in our van so it can protect us all. This is the one that we had. Now that is a smoke and carbon monoxide detector. Again, I've got it from Amazon, but it comes with these two batteries. Now they're not going to last an awful long time. So what I'm going to do is take this one out, because this one is a hell of a lot more superior than that one. And I've also installed it. This is where I would recommend installing it. It's a distance away from the burner. There's no lights. It's not near any vents, so you're going to get a false reading. You need it to pick up as soon as you can. The boiler lives there, the burner lives there, the fridge lives there. So we've got a lot of devices that are going to start giving off carbon monoxide. We don't smoke, so in terms of what's going to catch fire internally, you've got electrics, you've got power supplies, you've got banks, anything and everything with a supply of power. Remember, fire is fuel, oxygen and heat. And if you've got to get really technical, free radicals, but we won't go into that. So remember the triangle of combustion, fuel, oxygen and heat. If you've got that, you can then say fuel, oxygen and heat will produce a fire. Okay, so that's the backing plate installed. So what I've used is an adhesive pad and one screw. So that is going to hold it no matter what. Then to install it, once the pad's on the back, is you line it up, twist. And what I'm going to do whilst I'm in the van is...
This is only a test. The alarm will sound loudly. You can press the test silence button to cancel the test. Testing the smoke sensor. Testing the carbon monoxide sensor. The test is finished. Normal working status.
It will save your life in the event of a monoxide leak or fire. So if you've got a larger van with a compartmented area like a bedroom or separate lounge, whatever your configuration is, each compartment is going to need its own detector. So another thing to consider in the van is what method of fire extinguisher have you got? This one is a 1 kilogram dry powder extinguisher, and you need to make sure that they are in date. When I say in date, this one you can see clearly that it's in the green, so it's not lost any pressure, but they can be subject to what you call caking. The dry powder inside goes a little bit hard and it won't discharge properly. So To check the date on them, they're either printed on the bottom, on the side, or sometimes around the neck. Now this one is a 2020 fire extinguisher. I can see the date on the neck here. So that will last me 10 years unless I choose to use it. Hopefully not. The consideration with extinguishers is what type of extinguisher is best to use. Now this is in the van and I'm confident and happy to use it. The only issue with dry powder is when you use it, there is an almighty cloudburst of dry powder. It goes everywhere. In your eyes, down your throat. It really does make one heck of a mess. But it's got good extinguishing qualities, but this won't last very long. It's only 1 kilogram. You can get bigger ones, 2 kilograms up to 6, but 6 is a little bit big, so probably 1 kilo is about right for the van. Now this covers different classes of fires. You get classes A, B and C. There's additional types of fires, chemicals and so on, but we don't need to go into that. Think realistically, what sort of fire are you going to get in your camper van? Cooking fire, upholstery, cigarettes, electrical. You've got to decide which is best for you and what you're most comfortable with. Now, I'm comfortable with this. Some vans I've seen water extinguishers, they're not very good. As I briefly mentioned, you get classes of fires. You get A, B and C. Now that is actually written on here as to the types of fire. You get, electrical fires, fires involving carbonaceous products, wood, and like petrol. If a petrol can was on fire, what could you put that out with? Water wouldn't do it. That would just make the petrol flow and it would send a nice little flame down the street. This pretty much is a do-all. The only thing it's not good on is some people still will use chip pans. They are still out there. Deep fat fryers, that sort of business. This is no good for that. This will just end up blasting it everywhere. So you've got to consider what would you use on a deep fat fryer or a chip pan fire. The good thing that you can carry for that is a fire blanket. We carry a fire blanket for that particular reason. We've all seen the damp tea towel. You can use a damp tea towel, but we've not always got a damp tea towel to hand. The motorhome is quite a small enclosed space, so if you're not confident, the answer always is get out, stay out, get the fire brigade out. But in reality, the quickest response you might get from the fire brigade is 5 to 8 minutes, maybe a bit quicker if you're next door to a station. If you're in a remote area, it'll be a lot longer. And if you can stop a fire in the first couple of seconds using an extinguisher or a fire blanket, you could potentially save your motorhome. If you wait for the fire service, anywhere from, like I said, 5 minutes up to 20 minutes, if not longer, you're going to lose the lot, because these things will burn like the clappers. They will burn really fast. And on board we carry a petrol can for the generator, LPG gas. You sat on something that really is going to burn quite quickly. Diesel, not too much of a problem. If you've got a petrol vehicle, yep, that's going to go pretty quick as well. There are some LPG conversions out there, and if you've got an electric vehicle, if that catches on fire, that's not going to go out. They burn forever, unfortunately. So as I said, this one covers wood, gases, vehicle, electrical, a multitude of the sins of fire. Some people have got carbon dioxide. Now that's got its uses. It'll penetrate where the dry powder can't. It'll go into, say, the dashboard, but it works on suffocating the fire. Now, CO2 in my mind for a motorhome isn't particularly the best. If it's all you've got, great, but I would suggest that you upgrade to what suits your purpose. There's things on the market called a fire stick, which seem to be very good. It's not me recommended it. I've looked at it and thought, yeah, that's pretty good. At the moment, my DP extinguisher is in date. The fire blanket is also in date. We've got a detector in the ceiling, so I'm comfortable with what we've got. But it's just about making sure you're comfortable with what you've got. So look at the extinguisher, work out what you think might be a problem in your van. And the ultimate thing is, where are you going to site your extinguisher? Is it going to be near the kitchen? Is it going to be near an exit route? Is it in your bedroom? If you've got a couple of different compartments, if you've got a big van, you'll have a bedroom, a kitchen, you're going to have a living room. Some of these things are huge, but they're all separated off. So where do you want your extinguisher? As we mentioned with the detectors, You really need one in each compartment of the van. So your extinguisher is, you've got a choice of foam, carbon dioxide, water, fire stick. I wouldn't choose foam. Foam will counter some fires, but it's more intended for chemicals, petrol, that sort of business, and it makes one holy mess. I've had the pleasure of working with foam over the years, and yeah, it's messy. So for me personally, dry powder is one that suits all purposes, but the discharge time on a 1 kilogram dry powder extinguisher will last for about 8 to 10 seconds. So to actuate it, it's just you pull out this pin and squeeze the trigger. Now, once the trigger is squeezed, you can stop it just by releasing it, so you can give it the burst that you need. But personally, if something's on fire, you've got to make sure it's out. You can coat it with dry powder, but yeah, that will only last about 8 seconds, and the throw on it is about 2 to 3 meters. So, you know, you can imagine close up, too near, you're going to hit the fire and it's going to blast back in your face. You know, so there's considerations all round about what's best for you, and for me, my recommendation is dry powder, or consider looking at, there's a lot of new products on the market, the fire stick, which is perhaps a bit more simple to operate. I've probably waffled on enough. My experience in the fire service was a 30-year career, of which I did spend some time in fire safety. Most of my time was frontline firefighting, so I was on the red lorries for many, many years. So if you've got any questions and I can help you, of course I will. So leave us a comment and I'll get back to you.
I hope you got some value from the information Reddit has just given you. Like I said, we have our detector, and I have put throughout the video, we're not advertising a particular type of detector just to get our detector is the important thing. We replaced ours because that's a lithium battery. So my suggestion would be, I mean, ours is fine, but there are so many out there. So we happen to have the X-Sense one, you know, is fairly good value, but there are others too. So all you need to do is Google combined fire detector and lithium battery, because I think having the lithium battery is a good idea, which is why we swapped ours. Red has also mentioned various other different things. So here's something we are adding as well, and that's a fire blanket. Again, not recommending a particular type, but this one was from Amazon and it was about £6 or £7. And it's basically hook it up, and then in the event of a fire where you can smother the flames, you just pull the 2 tags sharply downwards and the blanket comes out. It's over there. Now, just to the side of me here is the kitchen, and I'm going to mount the blanket inside here. So basically all I would have to do in the event of a fire, whatever, is turn around, because I'm going to assume it's coming from the kitchen, turn around, open the cupboard door, and this will be hanging inside. That's very important, and again, a very, very cheap piece of kit to keep in your van that will save your life. Like I said, we hope this was helpful. It wasn't an advert. We weren't trying to sell you any particular brands or anything like that. Redders just wanted to make sure that people were having fire detectors and all sorts of prevention put into their vans, because it actually surprises us how many people, when we talk to them, haven't checked their alarm system, don't know if the batteries have run out, have taken it out when it goes off when the toast is being burnt. Just watch the video, put it in the back of your mind, particularly things like carbon monoxide. Very, very dangerous. You don't want to end up a statistic. I'm going to leave this one here. If you've got any thoughts, pop them into the comments. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and Redders will get back to you. Quite happy to share his knowledge or any information he has. We're going to leave it here and we'll see you next time. Bye.